United States President Donald Trump has suggested that a softer touch may be needed in enforcing immigration policy, even as the administration insists that mass deportations will continue across the country. Speaking in an interview with NBC's Nightly News on Wednesday, Trump said recent events in Minnesota had prompted the reflection. "I learned that maybe we could use a little bit of a softer touch, but you still have to be tough," he said, while maintaining support for the immigration enforcement.
I learned that maybe we can use a little bit of a softer touch, but you still have to be tough. These are criminals. We're dealing with really hard criminals. But look, I've called the people. I've called the governor. I've called the mayor, spoke to them, had great conversations with them, and then I see them ranting and raving out there, literally as though a call wasn't made. We've done a great job everywhere. The only place there's been a little inflammation has been really, it's not Minnesota, because we've done well with
Los Angeles, too. There's been others. Yeah.
Well, I saved Los Angeles. The top law enforcement officer, right at the beginning of my time when they were having riots, before me and it carried into me. If I didn't go in there with the National Guard, with troops, you wouldn't have the Olympics, which I got the Olympics. You wouldn't have the Olympics in Los Angeles. And he said, without the president sending in the troops, we would have lost Los Angeles. Yeah. And you know what? I saved Los Angeles. And we will do it again if we have to.
The remarks come amid widespread outrage following the fatal shooting of 2 protesters by federal immigration officers in Minneapolis last month. The incidents triggered protests and calls to end immigration raids in the city. Earlier, Trump's border chief offered the 700 federal officers would be withdrawn from Minnesota, reducing the total number of federal immigration agents in the state to around 2,000. Homan said the drawdown would take effect immediately, but stressed that immigration enforcement would continue. In a separate interview with Fox News, Homan said mass deportations would not stop. "Mass deportations are here. They're coming, and we are breaking records, and we are not going to stop," he said.
Well, absolutely. The president wants to de-escalate the situation. And to set the record straight, because my staff said it's seen a lot of people that say President Trump's backing off on his promise of mass deportation. That's just untrue. My message up there was the same message that's been since January 20th, when President Trump took the Oval Office. We're going to have a mass deportation, but we're going to prioritize the arrest of criminals and public safety threats. I'd said from day one, if you're in the country legally, you're not off the table. I looked at the numbers just about 15 minutes ago, Sean. President Trump's been in office just over a year. We got over 700,000 deportations between the border between us. That's a record. I've been in D.C. about 15, 16 years. I've overseen more deportations than any other man since the Eisenhower administration. So if anybody thinks that Tom Homan and President Trump isn't serious about immigration enforcement and having a mass deportation, then they weren't paying attention to the press conference. Prioritization is smart law enforcement. But if you're in the country legally, you're not off the table, and we'll find you too and deport you too.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz welcomed the reduction as a step in the right direction, but called for a faster and larger pullback of federal forces. Walz also demanded state-led investigations into the killings. Homan said the reduction was possible due to an increased cooperation with local authorities and a shift towards taking custody of undocumented migrants directly from jails rather than detaining them on the streets. Before the Minnesota operation began, there were only 150 federal immigration officers in the state. The shootings involved 2 U.S. citizens, 37-year-old Renee Good, who was shot while attempting to drive away from ICE agents, and Alex Pretty, an intensive care nurse who was beaten and shot while being pinned to the ground. Trump said he was upset by the deaths, calling them very sad incidents, while reiterating his support for law enforcement and ICE agents. The controversy led to the replacement of Customs and Border Protection Commander Gregory Bovino with Tom Homan. An international condemnation and domestic protests intensified scrutiny of the federal immigration operation.